Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. We have wonderful Adriana with us, and she's joining us all the way from Mexico City. Adriana is going to talk about a wonderful topic which we all are eager to know more about. She's going to talk about what are the ways to promote authentic student initiated action in the primary years program. A very warm welcome to you, Adriana. We all are very excited to meet you and we look forward to hear more about you from you. Over to you, Adriana.
Okay, thank you very much, Asnaha. I'm very happy to be here. I wish you all well. Thank you for being here. So, I'm Adriana Santa Cruz. I have a master's in education. I studied at Universidad del Valle de Mexico, and I specialized in the administrative and the research areas. I've been an IB educator ever since it was introduced here, especially the PYP in Mexico. So at that time, I was working with a big school that had all the programs. As you know, it started with the DP, then the MYP, and then eventually it went on to PYP. So I was the English coordinator, and I was able to see how these programs could blend and how the PYP was a very strong foundation for all those other programs. So I'm a true believer of this part of action. Um, Ever since I heard about it and I knew that we had to promote action, I was very interested. And I came from being a teacher for many years on a traditional way. I taught in a very traditional way. I learned in a traditional way. So for me, it was really exciting to learn how to work with a different way. I was very excited about inquiring and being a facilitator and giving agency to students since then. So I think through the years I've become like for me the planning and all that is like an everyday exciting thing where I'm aware of the importance of knowing what you're doing and knowing what the outcome is going to be if you plan it correctly, or at least you can uh, guide your students towards learning concepts and big ideas that eventually well, attribute skills, etc., as well, that eventually will guide them and lead them to be owners not only of their own learning but of life. They will be able to create life choices. And so here I'm very happy to share a best practice that worked for me. And I want to guide you a little bit on how this happened and why it happened. So I'm going to be sharing my screen.
Thank you so much, Adriana, for sharing about your experiences. And I must say, you have been all over IB, several programs, and we are really eager to see what are the best practices you're going to share with us. Just go to the share button. Yeah,
Yes.
one, I can see that.
Oh, hold on. Give me one more minute. Sorry. Uh,
It's okay.
okay. So I think it's here. Is it there?
No, not yet.
No,
No. Yeah, it's there.
it's there. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
and just share, yeah, wherever it is, the Chrome, I think it's a Chrome link. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Perfect.
So,
Good to
all
go.
right. So, eh, as I said, the name of the session is Ways to Promote Authentic Students Action in the PYP. So I already introduced myself. I want to show you this map here. This is Mexico, the country. I'm located here in Mexico City, but all the action and everything that I'm going to be talking about is actually here. We have a peninsula in the western side of our country, and this is the Pacific Ocean. So in here, water goes in, and this is the Gulf of California. And we're going to talk about what the children decided to do to help a little cetacean, the vaquita marina, and how this happened. So, why are we here? To share a best practice. Yes, a successful experience doing inquiry that resulted in action by empowering students and making them owners of their own process. So, this here is the logo that was used, let's say, by the children later on. This is the Vaquita Marina, which in English is the desert purpose. And so, I wanted to share it with you. So I think first of all, we need to all understand what action is and why it's so important. So maybe we can start by asking ourselves, and maybe if you want to think about it, if I ask you, what is action in the PYP? What would your answer be? I don't know if you want to type it down, you want to write it down, or just think about it. And I don't know if Asnaha can help me, maybe. What do you
Yes,
think is
Adriana, I'm here.
action? So, what
Uh,
is action in the
yeah, I'll
PYP?
just check if there are any comments from teachers. So, teachers, Adriana wants to know what is action in the PYP, how is action related to inquiry, and when does action take place? So, we would love to know about your thoughts. Can you please share what comes in your mind when you think of action in PYP? What is your understanding of action in PYP? Feel free to share your thoughts with us.
Are they typing in?
So, yeah, so far no answers. Although people are replying us where they are joining us from, but still I can see people from India. I can see people from Pakistan. So we are really eager to know what comes in your mind when you think of action. How do you define action in the PYP? How is action related to inquiry? Yes, I got a wonderful reply from Miss Afreen. She's saying real purpose of inquiry, giving real meaning to learning. And then we have Meera Raman. She's saying applying what they learn to create change. Very well
Mhm.
said, Afreen and Meera. Then we have Annabella. She's writing how the students are able to connect their learning to everyday life. Yes.
Exactly. Great. Well, as you know, action has to do with choices, right? And these choices, the kind of action that we want is the choice that comes after a reflection.
We have few more responses. I'll
Yes.
just pause for a
Yeah.
while. Action is the process of each student to put their experience on hands-on to practice. Maria said this. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Annabella, Meera, and Afrin for sharing your perspective with us. Over to you, Adriana. Please go ahead.
Okay. So, as I said, it's a choice that we make after a reflection, uh, but that makes us feel at peace with ourselves. And why? Because this choice comes from an awareness that I am responsible of the choice and that choice is aligned to who I am at the moment, according to my values, according to my attributes, skills, and my thoughts of the time, right? So we're using our thinking skills to make a choice. So action, as I tell my students, it's just the blending of the heart and the mind. We need to blend those two together. So I choose to do this because that makes me feel at peace with myself. It makes me feel good. And once we realize that's the way that we want children to make choices. That's how we align with the IB program, because we're being the best version of ourselves and in that moment and place, and we're being peaceful. Like, we, if we're caring or we're demonstrating any of the attributes, etc., uh, then we are also fostering peace in the world, right? So that's the big difference between regular action in everyday life and action that comes from the IB. So what we want to foster is children being able to do that as a habit, and starting with ourselves as teachers, right? Every choice I take, it has to be aligned with my reflection and what makes me feel good about myself, because I am at peace with that choice. Um, how is it related to inquiry? Well, of course, after the in the inquiry process, the children will be able to reflect and um, in their new findings, while they're making, while they're reading, while they're experimenting or collaborating and observing, at any time, they can come up with a reflection and share an idea. And that is action. It starts from there. It starts from the everyday, as you said, everyday things, little things, daily activities. And when does action take place? Well, after a reflection, after an awareness that a problem has to be solved, and actually at any moment and place wherever you are, because you're the one that's taking the action. So if you are in school and you decide to do something about it, it's okay. You go home and you reflect, and you see that you can take action at home, that's fine. Or anywhere you are, like in your swimming class, wherever you are. So action is, it starts with you, with each one of the members of the IB community, and then it permeates hopefully home, and then it can go on to the community. Okay? So, having said that, and with that in mind, so that's what we always want to promote. So, what does the PYP say? Action in the PYP. Well, first we need to reflect. It says think about the consequences of your actions. Exactly, right? So that has to do with reflection. What's going to happen if I choose to do this? The consequence. The choice makes it has to be based on that reflection, and then you act, you carry out, or you carry through with your with your choices, right? So this is reflect, choose, and act. Reflect, choose, and act. That's basically what it means, and it can happen uh, on a daily basis. Hopefully, that's what we want. Um, we want children and our students to understand that this is an ongoing process. Um, so the PYP says, okay, how can you participate? Well, you can participate through different lifestyle choices. I think we should start with that, then maybe participation, and then we can go on to social justice, advocacy, social entrepreneurship, and you can go on as I mean, you can go on. It can go on and on. Action can permeate your all your community and beyond. So there's this teacher, John Holt. John Holt was an American teacher and writer. He was born on April 14th, 1923, in New York, and he died on September 14th, 1985, in Boston. So he was, at his time, he was a critic of public education. He advocated for homeschooling in the 1970s, 1980s, and he thought most of his learning had come outside the classroom. So let's remember that in those days that we were all working, including me, with a very traditional way of like programs and, teacher based and all that. So what should we keep in mind about inquiry? And this is what John Holt said. We can best help children learn not by designing what we think they should learn and thinking of ingenious ways to teach it to them, but by making the world, as far as we can, accessible to them, paying serious attention to what they do, answering their questions, and helping them explore the things they are most interested in. So, what he was talking about is letting go of control, let's say, and promoting agency for students. Let the students build on their own learning, be the owners of what they want, decide to learn and promote whatever. Okay, so this was presented to us by one of our staff members at a time when I saw this. I said, yeah, of course. So that's what we need to foster. And this is how uh, agency was really, it got so strong in my mind. Okay, so agency is what we have to promote so students can really take action and just be the facilitator all along, all the way through. So in 2014, 2015, I was working with in fourth grade in the PYP. My unit of inquiry was sharing the planet, and I want to say this is the central idea: key concepts, related concepts, lines of inquiry, attributes, everything that was there for me. That of course it was done in a collaborative way by very professional teachers that know a lot about PIB. So it has a very strong and powerful central idea with very powerful concepts. As you know, these ideas, these central ideas, have to be challenging for the students. They have to be related to their real lives. And so I'm going to read it for you. So it was biodiversity relies on the interdependence of living beings coexisting in their environments. Um, my related concepts were biodiversity and interdependence. The key concepts: causation, connection, and reflection. And we have three lines of inquiry: the roles of organisms as a part of a system, how the characteristics of biomes helps us understand diversity, factors that cause change in their ecosystems and their consequences. So as you see, just by looking at this is a very strong and very powerful unit. It's a very, very powerful material for you to start working with. So uh, we need to focus on the attributes and the approaches to learning, or the skills that we want to promote or we want to focus on. Uh, so we decided that we wanted them to be inquirers, communicators, caring and reflective, the thinking skills, acquisition of knowledge, analysis and self-evaluation, and research skills. We wanted them to be able to organize data, present the research findings, and of course, all through the process, we were aware that we wanted them to work with the high thinking skills according to Bloom's taxonomy, right? That we wanted them to analyze, we wanted them to conclude, we wanted them to persuade, etc. So when I was planning, the first thing for you as teachers to really understand that this is the basis. So you want to everything you plan, it is focused on making sure that the students really understand that central idea. So my summative assessment at the time, or the learning goal, a performance task, it was: you are scientists giving a talk to explain what biodiversity means and the interdependence between ecosystems and ecological networks. Mention a problem caused by these interactions and propose a solution. So here, right here, where I wrote propose a solution, already I was inviting them to take action. So remember that for me, that's the goal in all my units. And I think for everybody, that should be our goal. So, how can I promote it? And I think performance tasks are amazing. And the understanding of the teacher of what she's going to do has to be very, very clear. So, you can eventually, when you are planning, you can make sure that happens. So you have to build on inquiry. And here I would like to comment that now, and even in my school, we have found that there's no one inquiry cycle that we should follow. My co-workers, teachers have worked with a scientific method of inquiry. You can Google, and there are many, many ways to inquire. There's no one real way. You can even make up your own way. You have agency in that as well. But in that year specifically, I was working with Kath Murdoch's inquiry cycle. And the reason I really liked it, I'll tell you why, is because what she proposes is that through this inquiry cycle, in every step, you check on how they feel. Check on how the students feel. Check on how the students feel. And remember, I told you, as long as we are choosing and we're at peace, then we're okay. So I'll tell you a little bit, just briefly, so you get an idea of what was done in every part of this cycle of inquiry. So first, in the tuning in, I tuned in with a video, which is how wolves change rivers, and suggested by my coordinator at the time, which I love and I really recommend. It's about Yellowstone Park and how once the wolves were reintroduced to the park, even the rivers changed, like the whole ecosystem and the networks. And so it's a beautiful video, and children got interested, and it's a way of them like really getting into, okay, so what do you think we're going to talk about? What is this all about? And so you get all these great ideas from the video. In the finding out, um, it has to do with all these resources, right, that we can give the kids, the blogs they can go into, the books, etc. I made sure in the finding out I planned um, the biomes. For example, in the biomes, I gave them all the biomes. I listed the biomes, and then I asked them, which biome would you like to inquire on? So it's very important. I told them I need the location uh, worldwide. If you're going to talk about the forests, where are the forests? I need the weather. I need the flora. I need the fauna, the networks, like the ecosystems, etc. And so from there, you're giving the students agency. They're just deciding what team they want to be in according to what they want to inquire on. And you move on to sorting out. Here in the sorting out, um, what I did was that the students selected the information that was relevant to them and that what they wanted to share with the classmates. So once they had gathered everything, so they decided what they wanted to share. Um, in the going further, they were allowed to add any extra information they wanted to share by some questions that I made them. Like, do you think there's a different way you could share that, or what else could you add, or etc. So it's through guiding them all the way. So once they have their final product, let's say, they could start presenting. So here in the making conclusions is the part where I had my children start presenting. Um, so hopefully, what we wanted was to promote this, right? So that they took action and responsibility of their choices. And so here I was promoting evaluation, like self-evaluation or peer evaluation, and creativity. You know, what could they create? How could they present? What did they like best? And analysis. Okay, so after I went through all this, I analyzed this. This is my reflection. This is why I want to share, etc. So this is building on inquiry and making sure that you are there for them, helping them make the best product, final product at the end. Okay, so what happened? And we're going to start once we reach action. We're gonna. I want to share what happened. So children started presenting by teams. As I said, we had the tundra, we had the rainforest, the forest, the oceans, and the deserts. Okay, so what they did is once they realized like they wanted to help and that there was the world wide foundation where they could donate. So the first thing they did is okay, so we're going to start collecting recyclable paper. We're going to start collecting cardboards, and we're going to start collecting cans. So they put all these recycled material together, and they started collecting money. So once they got it, I was surprised. Like they would just, I didn't do this for them. They would just go home, they would collect the money, and then they came back the next day. Oh, we already donated. And I asked them, do you want me to help you out? Should I do it for you? No, I can do it. So all these things they started doing on their own. So what did they do? So they donated for 3 animals specifically. So let me tell you. It was the dolphin, it was the fox, and it was, um, oh my goodness, where's the other? Oh, it was a crocodile. Okay. So up to there, it was like an action that I could have expected. And I said, okay, that's fine. It's like I was happy with that. But the teams were still presenting. Okay. So this is started happening as the teams were presenting about each of the different biomes. So there was this little girl called Ana Luz that was from the ocean team. And she came up and told me, I just found out, Miss, I'm very sad. Why? Why are you sad? It's because I'm going to present today about the vaquita marina. And for me, honestly, that was the first time ever that I had heard vaquita marina. I didn't know what she was talking about. So she said, it's an endangered endemic Mexican species, miss, and she needs our help. I said, okay, so go ahead, present. So, of course, she was with her team, but she was the one that was really concerned about this vaquita cetacean. So, what did she present? She presented all about everything she found out about the species, that it's the smallest cetacean in the world, that it's less than 5 feet long, that it has a circle patch around its a black circle patch around its eyes, and it looks like it's smiling. And 7 years ago, apparently, and according to Greenpeace, there were only around 100 left, and she wanted to do something about it. Okay, so the team presented. I remember she was the last one to present from her team. And once she stopped presenting, one of my students, which was Sage McKim, another student, raises her hand. And then the question says, she asks, if there were only 100 of us left, would the desert purpose help us? And so in that moment, like I turned around, I looked at her, I looked at my students, and that's when the moment that they decide that they have to do something about it, because they could do it. They felt they could do something about it. So that's when action like really started. So So let's do something about it. Let's reach out. And they said, okay, let's save the vaquita marina, the desert purpose. So as we know, according to Greenpeace, there are only 97 desert purposes left. And so Ana Luz said, well, my dad has a crowdfunding page, and I'm going to ask him, and maybe we could, collect more money, because guess what? There's a Greenpeace ship that needs money because they want to go monitor the reserved area for the vaquita. And so the dad said, of course. I mean, it's just like, why shouldn't we? And he saw like her daughter his daughter, sorry, so excited about the idea of helping a little bit more, that he said, well, let's go ahead. So in order to persuade people to donate to that web page, so there was a video that was recorded with 4 children, and and um, we like all the class was there, but 4 children were speaking about the vaquita and explaining to people about what was going on and asking for help. And they told them, well, all the money will go to Greenpeace so they can monitor the area and all that. So starting there, like, the community started to get involved, meaning parents starting to learn about it, because of course kids got home and talked about it. Community, like staff members, were eager to help out. Everybody, all the whole community got involved. The director, the principal, the owner, they started learning about this project. And some of the students made some rewards for donors, like some, like you have here some examples, like play sculptures, like drawings, like posters. And so they all, it got into task of taking action. Well, maybe I'm not going to be talking for the recording, but I'm going to be doing the clay figures, or I'll be drawing, and but everybody was, very excited to be part of this. So as this went on, the students found out that Mexican president at the time, Enrique Peña Nieto, was planning a trip to Baja California, because this was really an issue. And Rashid was one of my students at the time, said, I want to write a letter to the president to let him know that he really needs to help us. So I said, okay. And so the students started writing. If this is like 2 samples of the evidence of the children, were absolutely, free to write whatever they wanted to write. Basically, they were telling the president that they were also trying to help out, that they were happy and glad that he was going to make sure there was going to be a reserved area, and they were going to be collaborating with the United States to see if they could help avoid the fishing gilling nets at the area, which were the actual biggest problem in the area and still is. So what I did is that I collected all these letters, and I took them to a special place where you can take letters to the president. And some months later on, we got an envelope at school from Gobierno de México, Presidencia de la República, telling us that that they had received the letters, and that they were happy to know that the children cared for the vaquita. Okay, so there was a feedback for the children, not an immediate feedback, but eventually they got it, and that made them very, very happy. So what else were we able to do? And this was by now, this was going beyond, like it was all of the community. School was involved, parents and all that, but now it was getting bigger. Why? Because they wanted to promote the donations. So UC Radio at the time, it was the radio from a university that we had already worked with them in previous years. We had shared myths and legends that the kids had talked about and things like that. So they were very happy to get involved with a project, and 8 children were invited to talk live. So they had absolute agency. They just selected whatever they learned, what they thought was most important. The the radio teachers, which are teachers from the university, were very impressed of how the children were able to analyze and be able to know exactly what was going on with the vaquita, and what they were doing. Like, why are we doing this? Because we want that ship to help monitor that reserved area. Okay, so the objective was very clear in their minds. um, there's another radio program, which is La Entrevista Verde, which is it's ecology, let's say. It's green. It's the green interview. That's the way it's called. So Ana Luz was invited, the girl that initially told us about the vaquita. And the same way, she was advocating and, promoting the a, persuading for donations. Then there was this TV program that a woman called Women and Ecology. And so Ana Luz and I were invited to talk about the project, which basically it was Ana Luz. I was just there as her teacher, just, being with her, but she was the one in charge. And then when the project ended, when the whole thing ended, there is our World magazine, which is an online magazine, which is edited in Berlin. He published the whole project in 3 languages, in English, Spanish, and German. And this here, it was done by the designer of that magazine. So as you can see, all these people were already taking action as well. They had agency and they just wanted to be part of it. And so this is the illustration that came up with the article that I wrote about the whole project. And here's the vaquita, and this is the magazine's idea, let's say designer's idea, be the voice of those who cannot speak, which really shows how everybody was getting involved with this whole project. So at the end, what was the outcome and how did we assess the whole thing? Uh, at the end, fourth graders reached their funding goal in 5 days. So they wanted to be able to collect $2,500. They made $1,000 more. So we ended up giving Greenpeace $3,500 so they could really take their ship and monitor the area. It involved parents in modeling the children's attributes and attitudes. So it was, as I said, not only the parents, it was the whole school community that was involved. Okay, but talking about parents, it was, they were right there by the side of their kids, right, in the whole process. There was this positive energy, commitment, and enthusiasm that transcended into the community and beyond. We were all of us were working towards a common goal that made every single aspect of this project important. Later on, Greenpeace thanked the children in a ceremony at school, where actually we gave them the money. And then on Oceans Day that same year, Greenpeace published an article using the Children's Project to inspire more people to help. And I know this is really important because I know there have been many children around the world that have been advocates for a lot of, uh, changes that they want to promote or problems that they think that should be solved as children, and it can be contagious. So um, the feedback that we got from the parents, that were very thankful, and they were excited about being able to participate with their 10-year-olds in such a significant and enduring experience. Greenpeace was impressed and talked about the world's hope with these new generations of children. The UC Radio started a campaign of its own to promote awareness and action among its university students. So that was great because a whole project started in the university as well. Um, then Green TV and the Green Interview saw in Ana Luz a great leader, and were happy to be part of the promotion of the project. And our World Magazine mentioned that if at least one teacher from each school carried out a project like this one, our world would be different. So I would like to give you some tips for teachers. Um, it's very important that you know who you are. Like, really start with yourself as teachers. Uh, who are you? Are you connected with your mind and your brain? You know, are you reflecting after you take every choice? How can you be the best version of yourself every day? And this is an ongoing process, right? And how can you be at peace with yourself? So basically, if you know that, then you can you can model it later on, okay, or in every day. So be an active participant as a guardian of our planet. So just take action yourself, right? Be an IB model for students. They tend to imitate what you do. Be present while inquiring, and that's very, very important. I know a lot of things are going on at the same time, but uh, be there so you can ask the correct question, or uh, you know, be there to give them the book they need or share information, whatever, so you can help students out so they can carry on with their own learning process. Show enthusiasm and a positive attitude. um, Answer with another question. Encourage students to find the answers by themselves. This works very well. um, I know in the past when we worked in a traditional way, we would just answer. So I don't do that anymore. I just answer with another question. Promote action at all times. Action at all times. Um, Meaning not only during the unit of inquiry, it could be standalone in during recess time, wherever. Okay. Be an active listener. So I'm listening carefully, as I said, and I can take action. I can help you out because I'm listening. And be a risk taker and tend to do things out of the box. So, um, well, that would be it. And here's a picture of the vaquita. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adriana. It was wonderful to know about your best practices, and I just love the way you have recognized the student voices, and your tips were just awesome. We have got some questions for you, so if you allow me, I can ask those questions.
Sure.
Yeah, so like looking at the unit, you have given us a complete snapshot that how does an inquiry-based unit and an action-oriented unit look like. So Sanjana wants to ask that can you please share the resources for this unit? So I must say that you and your students have done an incredible job. So if you want to share a snapshot of your unit or something, if you have captured your journey in a blog or something, do share with us.
Okay.
So we would love to learn more
Okay.
about it.
Great. Great. How about I? I ask in school, and if I can share it, I'll share
That's
it.
right.
Okay, because I'm not
Yes,
sure.
there are copyright issues, Sanjana, and Adriana has shared a lot about the unit, so you can get a glimpse of it. And I would say, that, customizing the unit as per your setting and as per the context of your school, gaining perspectives from Adriana's work, and moving it further in your own community works really well. And we have one question from Mahinder. He has joined us from Mumbai, India. He's a teacher librarian, and he's asking, how can I integrate UI beside reading? Any activity can I do? Would you like to answer this question, Adriana?
How can I integrate what? Sorry.
How can I integrate UI beside reading? So he is actually looking for integrations of UI beside reading. I think he is finding ways to support, you
Ah,
know,
okay.
the
So, like the
units.
resources, how can you integrate more resources besides reading? Well, there, look, there are magazines that are online. There are newspapers you can find online. At least, I mean, I know Mexican newspapers, but there must be online newspapers which actually talk about everyday problems. um, you can There are some, like for example, for pre-first, I have this brain pop junior, and for primary, the brain pop, which are also web pages, let's say, that the school uses with a lot of information that really challenges the children and are very, also related to our IB program. Uh, Blogs, you can look for blogs. You can go to field trips. You can interview people. You can have speakers. I mean, there are many ways that you can inquire. Of course, not only with books. Like books, there are many, but yes, that's a good question. If, through observation, through experimentation, and many ways that you can learn more about what's going on, and what giving agency to students. And you can also ask them, why don't you bring I ask my students, bring a book of your own, bring an atlas, bring a map. I tend always to ask them to be part of building the inquiry process, and the resources. We have a classroom full of resources that children bring, and they can make a model. And a lot of there are many.
Thank you, Adriana. Some of the ways, Mahinder, that you can use, that we are using in our school, you can have authors talk, you can have book talks, you can have exchange of books within the community. You can call, different speakers, those who are working on that particular concepts, and just invite students' ideas. How do they want themselves to be supported by you as a librarian? And also, collaboration works well. So, ask the teaching team that what kind of support are they looking for, and they can get back it from the students. So wonderful, thanks for asking this wonderful question. I would like to share a small token of appreciation with you, Adriana, which I'll
Okay, I'll
just
stop sharing. I'll stop sharing.
yeah, I'll just put it up for you. I hope you can see the screen. It's visible, is it?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Adriana. This is from all of us for great learning experiences that you have created for your students and for us as well. And you have generously shared all the great ideas with the community. And we look forward to have you back with us soon with some more great ideas about PYP and how to promote, PYP in the best and authentic ways. Thank you so much. And for the audience, thank you so much for being here with us on a Sunday evening. We can totally relate with you that how keen you guys are when it comes to learning, and you have shared your valuable time with us. So we have a wonderful comment for you, Adriana. Maria says that I love these tips. I agree that by making students feel they have a voice and a choice, help them to become active agents of their learning. Wonderfully put up, Maria, and I agree the way Adriana has showcased the authentic action for us. It's amazing. So she's thanking you, Adriana. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary.
And we have audience from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and Dubai. And some of them couldn't share where they are joining us from. And I'm just sharing this exit ticket for all the live participants. Thank you so much for being with us, and I'll be back with a wonderful topic next week. And I would love to have you back, Adriana. The way you have shared, and uh, the way you stressed on active listening, that's very, very important because what happened, we look for those mega action that okay, something grand will happen, and we miss on those, authentic action which are part and parcel of our classroom, the day-to-day life of the students. So you really stressed on that beautiful aspect of a PYP classroom. So I hope the link is there for you, participant. Please fill up that exit ticket. Write your right name because the certificates are auto-generated. So if you write a wrong name, you will get a wrong name. So thank you so much. You will just find the link in the chat box. And again, Khurshid has joined us from Hyderabad, India, and she's saying wonderful session.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so much.
much.
And do share your appreciation with Adriana. We would love to hear your thoughts. What are your key takeaways? So you have still 1 or 2 more minutes to share your experience until I'm getting the exit ticket. I have shared it. I don't know why is it not visible. Can you see that exit ticket, dear participant? Can you please share it with me if it's there? Adriana, would you like to conclude this session by saying bye bye to everyone? And
Sure. Well, I'm very happy that you were able to make it, Mary. Everybody here, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Asnaha, for the invitation, the opportunity. Thank you, everybody from school. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope I was able to share the way I see the importance action should be fostered. So just connect your heart and brain and
very well said. It's
and
very, very important. And we
okay.
can see how connected it is in your case because you could observe all the great learning which was happening in your class, you promoted. And the best part is like how entire community was involved, That's the best part, and that's the beauty of the PYP program, that it's not only confined to those four boundaries of the boundary walls of the classroom, rather we spread it across, and it's wonderful to learn more about your experiences. And dear educators, it's an open platform for anyone who would like to share an authentic learning experience. We would learn to know more about your experiences within PYP or outside PYP. We all are educators, and we would love to, gain perspective from different experiences. Again, Asma said that it was a wonderful session. Thank you, Asma. Indeed, it was. And we would love to have you back, Adriana. I'll not take much
Thank
of your
you.
time. I know it's early morning for you. So goodbye, and it's late night for me. So see you all next week. Wonderful. Have a great week ahead. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.